Hey, what's up, guys? Little man with a big opinion here. And in today's video, I have found four articles that have somewhat decent news involved in them. Uh, most of the news articles that I cover on my channel tend to be, the doom and gloom, the end is nigh and this is why you should prepare. And I give you reasons why uh, you should prepare and steps you can take for what I talked about in the articles. But today's video, I thought I'd make it a little different. All of these things, have some good side to them because I spent the last few hours just scrolling through news articles, about 15 different articles from each different website, trying to find something decent to talk about, and it was rough. I can say that. Um, I mean, the first one I got from Grist. Never even heard of this place. Second one was Fox News. Next one was Reuters, and then NPR. But I did look at CNN, NSNBC, uh, CBS. I mean, I've looked at a bunch of different stuff. And so I thought I'd throw out a good news. Some of it has to do with prepping. Some of it is just, we've been hearing a lot of, um, the world is ending stuff recently, and I thought I'd give us a little bit of hope. Maybe things aren't as bad as they are. But if you haven't heard about these articles, because most people only talk about the doom and gloom, then please share this with a friend or family member. And let's go ahead and hop into it. A group of Afghan female soccer players was granted asylum in Portugal so they can keep playing soccer. The team fled the country in August. Um, Basically, a senior Taliban official said that women would probably not be allowed to play sport because it's not necessary and their bodies might be exposed. Um, they fled the nation, and Portugal gave them some assistance in that. It was codenamed Operation Soccer Balls. They rescued 80 female youth team and family members, and they landed in Portugal on the 19th. So, as a prepper, there's not really much in there to get excited for, but if you're prepared and you've established yourself, then you can assist other people. I guess it's a bit of a stretch on that one, but I would say that's good news. They can continue to play soccer. Here in the U.S., we wouldn't think of um, people, whether male, female, black, white, tall, short, not being able to play a sport. You know, I think most people in the U.S. probably played soccer at 3 because their parents wanted to take pictures of them doing a sport. Um, it's just not something you think of restricting from one group, you know, based off of race, gender, size, that sort of thing. Exit out of that one. The next one from NPR. The Fed say inflation is hotter than expected, but it should cool by next year. Um, so they are slowly adjusting what they think the end of the year inflation rate will be. As we get closer to the end of the year, they can get a little bit more accurate. Um, at some parts of the year, we were over 5%, but now they're predicting it'll be 4.2%, which is above the 2% that they want. Um, but they're saying the prediction for the cool for next year is 2.2%. So we're still need to shave off 2.4% to go back below our 2% mark. But I would take 2.2% over 4.2%. What really needs to happen is the next year needs to have a negative 0.2% inflation to even out this last year. But that's probably not going to happen. Prices are always going to go up. But at least based off of what Powell and his other committee members are saying is we expect it to go back to a relatively normal amount um, in the coming year. They, I didn't know that there was any prediction for economic growth throughout all of this, but it's predicted to grow by 5.9% by the end of this year. Um, I couldn't find an article talking about um, how much of that is just stuff coming back from the pandemic, but they were predicted it to be around 7%. So, we are a little lower. Scroll a little bit further down through the article, and you know, Powell basically says, you know, we need more people to accept jobs. Several companies are increasing how much they're willing to pay. They're offering bonuses. Uh, and we've added most of the jobs back from 2019 before the pandemic. Most of the jobs that we had available are back now, so we're almost to the point of we're increasing jobs, just because life is going back to normal. So the good out of this article is hopefully your goods and services won't increase too much more this year. And the federal government does its best to keep it around that 2% mark. So I'll be interested to keep y'all updated on what they plan on implementing to keep it at a 2%, year over year growth. The next one, mostly bad but kind of good. Panama warns of looming Haitian migrant wave. Tens of thousands are on their way. The foreign minister for Panama at the beginning of 2020 said more than 85,000 Haitians had crossed through Panama, and she believes most of them are heading towards the U.S. So the good news here is we've been getting a warning from this since the beginning of the year. I think they said we're at 24,000 or 29,000 have entered the country. Some have been sent back. Some have been sent to different parts of the United States to different, ICE detention camps and stuff like that. But that means there's still roughly 55,000 more out there. I read most of the article, but at the very end, they also say that 30,000 are still waiting in Colombia because Panama doesn't have the infrastructure to process them. So we're looking at about 115,000 people heading towards the United States. Well, now it's about 85,000. And we've got warning of it. And, at this point, it's up to our government to decide how we're going to handle this. But what does this have to do with prepping? How's it a good thing? Well, I'd say it's mostly a bad thing because, the U.S. is going through a lot of issues, taking care of its own people and dealing with problems happening within its country. I don't think we're at anywhere near a point of being able to take care of other countries' problems as much as we would like to help other people. I'd say in prepping, if you're established and something were to happen, and SHTF, and you have the ability to help someone, then you should probably help them because it might benefit you later. But in this situation, I don't see how we would get a benefit out of this later. I'm trying to say as unpolitical about this as possible, but if you're a prepper and you live near the border, this can be seen as a problem because there's, you know, massive spending going into, dealing with this situation when that money could be going towards, other things in your state that might, benefit, the state's citizens. But I digress. You can, read these articles in the comment section down below on your own. And if you would like to make your own opinion about them, you can. The last one I think is probably the coolest. I saved the best for last. A different kind of solar technology is poised to go big. Most solar panels are made out of crystalline silicon, and a majority of the supply comes from China's Zhejiang province or region. Um, but they're accused of using the Uyghur Muslims in forced labor, so the U.S. has put trade sanctions on them. But there are a couple of organizations in the U.S. I'm probably going to butcher this. They've produced a new type of solar panel out of cadmium telluride. If I mispronounce that, well, there's a reason why I'm not a scientist. It's a little bit thinner than the crystalline silicone, but it produces roughly the same amount of energy from a solar panel. And uh, today, the panels using the cadmium telluride supply about 40% of the U.S. utility scale market and about 5% of the global solar market. So the U.S. has basically said we don't want to buy solar panels from China if you're using forced labor. We'll produce our own. So 40% of your solar panels are coming from the U.S. because we're the people that designed this. And, we're exporting a certain amount of it as well, which is a good thing. I think if a prepper wants to be self-sufficient, you produce your own food, vegetables, fruit, water, that sort of thing. Then you scale it up. Your town should be self-sufficient. Your county, state, region, and your country should be self-sufficient. I understand certain things grow better in different parts of the world, and it's okay to import those kind of things. Um, but solar panels, if we can produce them here, then I would rather purchase them from here. This last June, solar manufacturer First Solar has invested $680 million into their third factory. It should be finished by 2025, and it'll be able to produce 6 gigawatts worth of solar panels for their region in Ohio. U.S. Department of Energy has launched a $20 million project to accelerate research. So the biggest thing coming out of this article is we're producing about 40% of our own solar panels. The cost of this is relatively similar to the solar panels coming out of China. Most of the resources are coming from the United States. And it says, just based off of this, solar in 2011 went from 74,000 megawatts to nearly 714,000 in 2020. So it's grown a lot. And, I mentioned the wanting to be self-sufficient. If you put up solar panels, wind turbines, some sort of, hydroelectric water generator, then you would most likely reach a certain level of energy independence. Scroll all the way back up. Yeah, I've never heard of grist before, but I guessing that they do climate related articles, so if that's something you're interested in. This article also came out July 26th, but I haven't heard of these guys, so I had to go down a rabbit hole to find this article. Can the world's most polluting heavy industries decarbonize? The complex challenge of climate change requires collaborative solutions. Yeah, I think it's mostly a climate based website, but this article was interesting. And at this point, I'm just gibbering and going on and on. So I'll end the video here. I'll put a link in the description down below for each of the articles that we talked about in today's video. And remember, if someone would benefit from this information, then share it with them. And subscribe if you have not done so already. I'll catch you in the next one.